Do you think that the European Silicon Valley is possible or it's just a dream?
We have a lot of European Silicon Valleys already. Silicon Valley is a so-called cluster. We have world-class clusters in Europe. I would say between 40 and 50 in different areas. We do not have the clusters which we need. We need clusters concentrating or putting together the technologies of the future. But as a first step, we need to define what the key enabling technologies for the 21st century are, and if we have defined them, then we need to create structures which will allow the clusters to grow and to flourish. And there are different elements which we need to take into account. It's not just support for research and science; it's also support for private enterprises. Silicon Valley was the result of young, risk-taking people with a lot of entrepreneurial initiative and a lot of entrepreneurial spirit. That needs to be supported as well. It is quite obvious that the key enabling technologies for the futures, for the 21st century, are nanotechnologies. Still microtechnology in the area of communication technologies, photonic, biotechnologies, and advanced materials. I think these are the most important. This is a big disappointment. And if there's something that really worries me, it's the fact that if we compare the situation of today with the situation of the year 2000, when the 3% target was set the first time, the situation is worse today. So in reality, we have lost ground, and this in a situation where our competitors in other parts of the world are rapidly increasing the spending for research and development, particularly in the United States, but also you see it in China and even in India. You see it already. I mean, in total figures in China and in India, it looks not so impressive. But if you see the growth rate, then you are really impressed and even concerned, as I am. So therefore, the 3% target, in my view, is even not enough. It's not sufficient to position Europe as a technology leader in global competition. 3% is a definite minimum, and it is important to increase the spending on the public side. There are deficits on both sides, in industrial spending and public spending. I cannot influence the spending of the industries, but of course I see a connection here. I know that certain industries dislocate their research facilities and research activities outside Europe because the framework conditions for research in other parts of the world are better. So we need also to look into this. As far as public spending is concerned, yes, there is a clear necessity to create new priorities in public budgets, community level and national level. We must shift the money from less productive and less future-oriented spending to a more productive and future-oriented spending, as in research, science, development. You know, the issue in reality is relatively simple. In tomorrow's world, Europe can only survive if it stays competitive, and the competitiveness of the European societies, not only the economy, the societies, depends on the question whether we are able to transform our economy into a knowledge-based economy and an eco-efficient economy. And in both cases, you need innovation and you need modern technologies, and therefore you need education, training, qualification, and skills. So that is where we have to put our money. For a long time, I don't see that, and I'm not sure whether we really need it. I would be very hesitant to try to harmonize everything. We should not believe that things are automatically better if they are harmonized. I think that a certain competition between the national systems can be very helpful. But what we must have, of course, is we must have agreed standards, yeah, which need to be achieved. But then, how you achieve these standards, which system you do it, how you organize your own system, I would never try to tell the Poles how they have to organize the educational system. But it could be useful to find an agreement between all the member states and the European institutions. What in our view must a young person know, and which skills must a young person in Europe have in order to meet the challenges of the next decades?
Thank you very much.